Volvo's been sitting here for a little bit looking at this thing, and it's just like, I want you in me. So that's what we're going to start working on. Vortec 4200. It's from a 2007 Envoy and a 1983 Volvo Wagon. Volvo 240 Wagon, 245, and this thing is pretty slick. Interior actually looks really nice. It smells a little bit like Christmas at that house you usually don't stay at too long, but it looks pretty good. So I actually bought this car from Brian, who was in the track video, who had the 242 Volvo. So it does need a few things. A little love, but I mean the thing is super old, so what can you really expect? I already picked up the centerpiece from the junkyard. There's really like very little rust on. There's like no rust. I'm lying. So here's kind of what she looks like underneath. It's very clean. Here's like the rear quarters underneath here. Sweet. So my plan as of now with this thing is not gonna go super crazy, but we'll see how that goes. I would like to keep it manual because it's a 5-speed manual now. It's actually a 4-speed with overdrive. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it had like an electronic overdrive. So plan is to keep it manual. I don't want to do an AR5. I don't want to do a T56. I have some ideas, but I got to figure out some other things yet. I don't have the transmission, but I have some thoughts. So plan is also to do a turbo, and I have an OG cast 7875 that's going to go on it. I also got this from Brian too. He gave that to me for free, so that was awesome. And other than that, I would just like to build it into kind of like a cruiser, 500 horsepower, maybe 6, but I think that would be a pretty cool setup. 4200, 6-speed manual, 7875, 500 horsepower cruiser would be a pretty cool ride. So let's get started. So I think this whole front end comes off of here. There's a lot of bolts. Oh yeah, look at that. So one thing I think is cool about a lot of this stuff is it just has these little turning wing dings, and a lot of this stuff comes out. So easy for disassembly. See how easy it is? Yeah, and this stuff just kind of pops out. So I'm pretty sure this whole front end section comes off. I do see a lot of bolts where I might be able to remove this whole section. I would like to maybe keep the AC system as intact as possible as I pull this thing apart. Basically just want to get enough room to pull the engine out and put the new engine back in. Because I don't have the transmission, I would also like to get the engine in and mocked up so I can verify the shifter position. I want to say the shifter position hole now is about 28, 29 inches maybe back from where the bell housing is estimated to where I think it's going to land. But that's kind of the first mission, is figure out where that shifter point's going to be so I can figure out what transmission I for sure want to go with, because I don't really want to deal with shifter relocation kits and stuff. I did have a shifter relocation kit on my 350Z with the CD09 in it, and I wasn't really a huge fan of that. The CD09 is going to be way too long, I think. I think the AR5 would be too short. I was looking at like TKX and TKO, those would be way short. I'm pretty sure. So I'm still just playing the field a little bit, exploring my options. Holy man, this is some old crusty stuff. Just has these little like spade terminals on it. That's all interesting to me. Some of this wiring and stuff is definitely going to have to be corrected. This one's all chipped and shielding is all falling apart. A little bit in here that's actually missing. I wonder if that grounded out at one time. That almost looks like it was burned off. But maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just crusty. Looks like it's just crusty. And that slides out. Plug. I was hoping to maybe just keep this all together, but I gotta get the lights out to get the plug out, the wiring for this light. I'm gonna put the bolts back in their original holes so I don't have to keep track of the bolts. And this side marker light is broken. See, this one has this little extruded U-nut here for that bolt. This one's broken off. That's why this one was taped on there. Hood latch cable. So I did decide that I'm going to go ahead and put the bolts in baggies, and I'm going to mark the head of each bolt with the location of the vehicle, and I'm going to build a spreadsheet and alphabetize them numerically with the corresponding quadrant of the vehicle. I'm just kidding, I'm not going to do that. But I'm going to throw them in a bag. So I got this ready to go now. Now next step is to put it up on the jack stands and wait for 3 years and sell it. I thought about this a little bit more. I don't really have to take the whole thing out. I could just take the center out. I thought at first that this was kind of all one piece. Then I realized this is actually two separate pieces. So I'm just taking the AC condenser out, be able to pull the radiator and stuff out, and then I'll have a clear path of destruction. I'll double wrench this boy here, because I don't want to twist that thing too much and break this thing off. At least if I use 2 wrenches and then break it off, then I'll feel like I tried. Well, I'm going to PB blaster this and then go pick up the kids from swimming lessons. Alright, so I did get this disconnected. Get this happy clam out of the way here. So I got the AC condenser and the radiator out now. I did take the little air box out of it. Probably got like another maybe hour tomorrow, have the engine out. Then I'll start working on probably stripping this down so I can start mocking it up and test fitting this in here. And now that I start to tear this thing apart, I'm actually surprised with how big this engine bay is. It's actually rather large, I think. Alright, so I got the battery and stuff out. Got this ignition control module box out. It's like the Holly Terminator right there, basically. That was before traction control. I'm trying to just keep everything as close as I can to the engine, or as attached as I can, because someone's actually coming to buy this thing in a couple days. I posted this thing for sale, and Brian knows a lot about these Volvos. So I'm like, you think I'd be able to get anything for this or sell it? And he's like, yeah, just post it. Some weirdo will come buy it. So I posted it on Marketplace for $200, and I had like 15 people message me about it in a couple hours. And the first guy messaged me like within a half hour and said he would come buy it right away. So I actually deleted the post because I just had a bunch of people messaging me, and then some of them thought I was selling the whole car for $200, which is what you get sometimes with Marketplace. But yeah, hopefully when this thing comes out, I'll have it gone right away, so that'll be good. This AC compressor didn't even have a belt on it, so it must not have been working. When I cracked the system open, like nothing came out of it. It was just like psst, and then nothing else came out. AC line that comes forward, so I'll try to snake that out and just keep that connected. And then I'd probably start looking at bolts for mounts and stuff. I think I did. I got the exhaust cut. Motor mount bolts on both sides on the bottom undone. Clutch line undone. Part of the drive shaft is going to come out with it. And I just have a chain wrapped around the intake and the exhaust. Alright, transmission's unbolted, but I do have to lower the tail end down. That's what I gotta do. Gotta lower the tail down because of the shifter linkage. Silly automatic man. Alright, drop the tail down. I had the rear end up on a jack stand, so got the jack stand out of the way. Alright, so there's one plug, a couple heater core lines, and then there's one actual big harness that goes underneath the intake. So I don't know what that is, but it goes through the firewall, so I gotta figure that out. Alright, so not exactly sure what it is, and it's kind of underneath where I don't really feel like messing around with it. So I'm going to use the big cable cutter, and I'm going to cut the whole harness off, and I'll chop these heater core lines too. I think I'm going to hack this, I'm going to cut this exhaust off on this side because it's a little long. And it's kind of pushing everything over to the driver's side. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut this little section off just on the back down here. And there's one oxygen sensor wire. I must have been going to the wideband for an AFR cut under boost. Thread the needle. Thread the needle. Make a thumbnail. Neighbors are probably like, oh, he's healthy. Okay, we got the twin turbo Coyote out. And now we have a little vacancy here in the Volvo. This is actually a really big engine bay. I'm really actually impressed with how big this is. I did a little bit of measuring to the shifter opening to the firewall. It was like 27 inches or something like that. So I think probably 28, 29 inches for a shifter position would be good. The K-members in what I believe to be a correct position to be able to do a rear sump, and there's a lot of opening down there, a lot of open space. This will be a little bit different than an LS because it's not going to be as wide. It'll be a little more narrow, so it should have quite a bit of room to go down with exhaust and stuff. So yeah, that was kind of the goal for this one, was just to get it out so I can get started on everything. I do have a guy who said he wanted to come get this thing tomorrow, so I'm probably just going to let it go to the first person that wants to come get it out of here. And then we're going to put this monstrosity in it. It's kind of crazy how big this thing looks when you actually get it out, but there's a lot of extra stuff attached to it on the front, on the top, on the bottom. The differential's attached still. The oil pan is gigantic, so it'll actually be a lot smaller, but in my head, this just looks really weird on this stand. It looks like it's very front heavy. So just to be safe, because I'm paranoid, I got a little strap and I hooked it to I got a little D-hook in the floor down there. So that's it for this video. Next video I'll probably be tearing this thing down, getting it bare, get the oil pan off, and then I can start to fit it in the engine bay. And paint this valve cover red, because they look sweet with the red valve cover, I think. But yeah, step one complete, let's do this. I do want to add, if you made it this far in the video, that this is probably not going to be a very fast project. It's probably going to be like a 1 year plus long project, just because of how quickly parts will be rolling in, and a lot of stuff I'm going to have to build. I'm going to have to build the intake, build the oil pan, figure out how to adapt the transmission. There's going to be kind of a lot going into this one, so I don't think it'll be fast, but we'll see how it goes. A lot of it's probably going to come down to money and sourcing parts, because it's pretty unique. But that's kind of what I'm excited about with this one, is building everything. I built the oil pan for the 350Z, and I got a ton of shit for that. So I think this will actually be a pretty fun project, because it'll be normal to hand build stuff, and I think that'll be fun. So I'll shut up, and we'll get going on this thing pretty soon.